I made contact with my dad, I think probably like about a year and a half ago now. And I think I met him for the first time since I was a child, like last year. And I went to his house. I walked into his house. My photos are on the wall. And I was like, fucking weird. I've got 3 other siblings that are from him. Not one picture of them anywhere, just mine.
So was it orchestrated then because he knew you were coming?
This is what I've been thinking and trying to like decide. And then I've sat down and I've spoken to him. He's gone into another room. Obviously, I used to live with him up until I was 5. So bearing in mind, I'm 21, 20 when I'm seeing him. He's came out with a bag of my toys from when I was a child.
Oh.
It's not our situation, it's weird. Like, what have you done? Why are they sitting in your spare room for that amount of time? And he's brought out my mum's photo albums. And he's like flicking through them. And he's had the audacity to say to me, your mum was the love of my life. And I've looked at him. He was abusive, like, bearing in mind, like, me and my mum left because I have memories of him beating her black and blue in front of me. And he's like, he had the audacity to say, your mum was the love of my life. And I'm sitting there thinking,
It's rich.
If this is how you treat the love of your life, like, how do you treat people you don't like? Like, that was insane to me. And obviously, I only really I contacted him for the wrong reasons anyway. It wasn't because I wanted to do it. It was more trying to prove a point. But
I did that one too. Yeah. I was 17. Yeah, I did.
Because, you know, your daddy issues comes up one way or another in life. But yeah, I did it to prove a point. And since then, I've been in contact with my other siblings. One more than the others. Like, the others aren't really interested because they want nothing to do with my dad, which is understandable. But my younger brother, he's a year younger than me. He wants to have a relationship with him, but he's the only one that never had contact with him throughout childhood. So you can understand why he'd be wanting to.
So he's never really experienced him.
Oh, well, to be honest, out of all of us, I'm the only one that really has. I was the only one that lived with him. My sister, that's 6 months younger than me.
Oh my gosh.
I remember meeting her once when I was a child, and then didn't hear of her. There was nothing again. And I think that was the only time I really saw my dad as a child after the point of leaving.
What was it like? So when you met your dad, what was he saying?
What, when I went to see him again?
No. So the first time you've met your dad in years now. So The same day he's shown you teddy bears and there's pictures on the walls. What's your conversation? So
I stuck it on him. Like, he was trying to be nice with me. And I was just like, oh, do you remember the time you got on my bus to school and you didn't recognise me? And he was just there like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I remember. Like, I ended up leaving in tears. Like, I let everything that I'd been holding up for years and years and years just out on him.
How did you take it?
He was just sitting there like, Shan, I'm so sorry.
And
I was just like, do you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't interested. But it's really interesting that you say about your dad having like another family, because my dad I think he's a bit manipulative. Like, he has that personality. Like, he's not nice. And he'll text me asking how I am. And obviously, like, throughout my pregnancy, I didn't tell him I was pregnant until I was I think he didn't find out till I was about 32 weeks. And he sent me this big paragraph, like, I came to this conclusion of why you didn't tell me you were pregnant. And he was acting so hurt that I didn't tell him.
Your dad?
Yeah. And obviously, I've said to him, like, I don't trust you. Like, look how you treated me in my childhood and my whole life. Like, you're not doing that to my child. And...
Was he abusive to you as well?
No.
Okay.
It was always my mum, but I remember I used to try and jump in front of my mum and, like,
Let it out?
No.
Let it flow?
I'm not going to go there today. I remember like sitting in my bed and I'd turn my TV up so I couldn't hear it. I am an emotional person. However, pregnancy hormones and, you know, I'm a new mother. That's what it is. No. Yeah. But from that point of him saying to me how upset he was I didn't tell him I was pregnant, he then let me know that he had a new partner, and he would send me pictures of him playing with her daughter and saying, oh, my friend, blah, 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 so-and-so, oh, she loves me and all this. And I just, he's trying to make it out like he's this good person with children and all this. And I'm thinking, like, why do you not understand that this comes across to me? Like, you can't look after your own children, but you look after someone else's. Like, that is absolutely wild to me. But you want me to bring my child around you? Like, he still hasn't met my child yet.
So, you said you and your mum ran away from him.
Yeah.
So for the years, did he not know where you were until you contacted him?
No, he knew exactly where I was.
Okay.
He knew where we lived. Like, was at my grandparents' house. He'd been there. The whole family knew I was there. Out of all of them, my nan, when I was little, used to call me all the time. I would refuse to speak to her because I was like, I don't want to see my dad. And the one time I think I did go and see her, she was like, oh, why won't you see him, blah, blah, blah. And from then I was like, I'm never going to see her again. So I feel a bit bad now because obviously she's getting old and I've sort of isolated myself away from her. And I think there was a period of time when me and my mum obviously moved away, that I was willing to see my dad. And you can understand, like, my mum's been through abuse, like, she's got her own traumas, but not once did she ever say to me, you can't see this man. She always let it be my decision. But there were times when he would come and say he's coming to see me, wouldn't show up. And I think the times that he did show up, he would leave me at random people's houses.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember that, like, significantly. And then I think the last straw for me, if you ever, like, Jamal, obviously you know my mum, if you ever ask her, the last time I said I'd see my dad was around my birthday, and he was saying he was coming to see me. I sat at the window waiting for him for 3 days.
Oh, I used to do that too. That came to me in a dream. What birthday was it?
I don't remember, but I just remember sitting in, we had a big window, and he just didn't go. And from then I was just like, I don't want to see him ever again. And so I just locked off that whole side of my family. But I think, like, obviously, like, I had to move schools and all sorts. Like, I used to tell kids at my school that my dad was Usain Bolt and they ran away. Like, and this is what I'm saying, like, the jokes came. Like, I used to
Is that when the jokes kind of started?
Yeah, like, I'd try and suppress the fact that I was hurting. And eventually that just turned to hate and resentment. And it spread on to other things. Like, it turned towards my mum. Like, me and my mum didn't always have, like, the greatest of relationships either. But I don't feel like I really realised I had issues, like, around him until I was probably, like, 19 or so.
Was there a period where you felt like you didn't care anymore?
Yeah, definitely.
And then you kind of were shocked when it was like, oh, I do care.
Well, no. Obviously, like, I just went a bit wild, didn't I? Obviously, once my sister was born, my mum was all about my sister. She cared about me, obviously, but because she was so young, obviously you put more attention onto that child. And by the time I got to secondary school, I was just, you know, it was more for me. I think I sort of suppressed everything and just started moving a bit recklessly. But, like, if you ever speak to any of my family, they'll tell you I had a switch when I turned 18. Like, I was always really, really shy. And obviously, because I'd seen so much stuff when I was younger, I had a lot of one, I have a lot of abandonment issues, but like trust issues with people. Like I was so shy, and I think only up until like maybe 2 years ago, I had like a social anxiety, and I used to literally go to like family gatherings, and as a teenager, and I'd sit there with earphones in. Nothing would be playing, but it would just be so no one would talk to me. Like I couldn't speak to people. I couldn't like go up to a shop and like pay for something. It's always been like really like compared to how I am now, like it was very drastic. But when I turned 18, I had a massive switch, and I just turned into this demon. Like,
what do you think the turning point was? Was there something that was like, was there a moment that you can recall that was like, fuck it, I'm this now?
That's exactly what it was. It was fuck it. Like I knew that I turned 18, and to me 18 means I've got freedom. So I said fuck it, and I just went buck wild.
Okay. What was the first wild thing?
So usually, you know, kids would just, oh, we're going to go on a night out. I went straight to a rave, got drugs. I didn't have alcohol. Me and my friend from school, literally we'd go to a rave and go to sixth form the next day, still wired. Like, we just went straight in. And from then it was just, I was a bit of a loose cannon. I've got like videos on like my Snapchat of me like coming home at 6 a.m, waking my whole family up, like, hi! Like, and I thought it was fucking hilarious, but I was an absolute bellend.
When you're going home, do your family understand that you're on drugs? Like,
yeah. My mum was, obviously, yeah. She was aware of it. I was always been very open and honest with her about stuff I was doing.
Okay. And what was the response there? What was the energy?
I don't really remember.
Okay.
I don't know how she felt about it. I don't think I ever cared to ask. I just knew that I was just having fun. But the rest of my family, they were just like, Shan turned into a demon when she was 18. Like, but I was rarely home, to be fair. I like avoided my house like the plague. I wouldn't let anyone go to my house. Like, obviously, like, my baby's dad, he used to always say to me, like, Shan, why don't you ever invite me to your house? Like, I didn't let him come to my house until, like, 2 years in.
So why was that?
I've always been scared to let people around my family. Like, because to me, like, once you're in my home and in my safe space and around my family, it's me. Like, I've always had, like, a wall up.
So do you feel like the you outside of your family home was a different you to inside your family home?
Yeah.
What was the difference between them two versions?
I think outside of my home, I could be whoever I wanted to be.
Okay. And inside of your home, who did you have to be?
It's Shan, like, I feel like my family started to look at me, like, with sympathy. Because of what everything I'd seen and how it affected me, like, and I didn't like that. Not so much that they showed me that they felt that way, but I've always thought it. And I remember the one time I did bring my child's father to home to meet my family. I think my uncle like pulled him for a chat and was like, she's been through this, and I was like, don't do that. Like, it's just not me. And that's when I really clicked, like, oh yeah, I was right. They've looked at me with sympathy this whole time, and I just hated that for me.
Was there anyone in your family who tried to help you?
No. I tried to speak to people about it, I felt, especially my mum. My mum's in complete denial that I've had any sort of, like, effect from it. Because obviously, in their mind, they've raised me in a great home, which they have. And like yourself, I've had father figures. I've had my granddad, I've had my uncle. Like, they are fantastic men. But my mum was like, no, Shan, like, she wants to believe for herself as well because of her own traumas. She doesn't want to remember all that stuff either. So she doesn't really want to accept that, oh, it might have affected Shan.